Right. So let's get into it. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is campaigns. So um, how your yes, Pooven has a copy. That's great to see. Yep. So how do you assess the quality of different traffic sources to your website with Google Analytics? Many of these traffic sources will, of course, provide their own reports um, of how many clicks they generated, what the click-through rate was, and all these things. But only in Google Analytics can you actually put them side by side, and you will see that actually each source has its distinct characteristics. Some will bring more engaged visitors to your website than others. So that there's a lot more to the success of your quality than simply how many clicks came in from it. And if you work with a provider, you might get something like this, like a spreadsheet with how many clicks you got over a certain time. So how do you assess how much value those clicks are to you? Because really, sometimes just to get, let's say, 100 clicks of really the right people can be better than getting 10,000 clicks of people who just were randomly clicking some kind of banner. Right. So when I assess traffic, I look at three things. First of all, the quantity, right? So how many visits did this campaign generate? Then the next step would be to look at engagement. So did these people just like land on the website for a few seconds and then go away, or did they spend time going through different pages and kind of getting to know my offerings, my courses, and that kind of thing? And finally, you want to see some conversions. So are people doing on the website what you hope that they will do? And what would you hope that they do? Ultimately, of course, apply and then move all the way through the enrollment funnel. But before that, you will want to perhaps get them signed up to a webinar, send an inquiry, perhaps engage in a conversation with a student ambassador. And so these actions on your website can be tracked as conversions. So Google Analytics provides a table where you can look at your traffic sources and compare them side by side. And you will find it in acquisition and then in channels. This is usually where I go to actually see the quality of the traffic. And I mean, this is a client account of a no further named client. And you can see here that it's been sorted by the number of users. So those would supposedly be individuals. And these, so if you sort it here, you'll always get the traffic source that brings in most traffic on top. So that's the first kind of level, right? So you want web visits. These would be people. These are new people that haven't visited you before, and this is the total number of sessions, because one user might visit your website multiple times over a period of time. And the next section here is about engagement. So you see here that different traffic sources can have very different behavior. So the bounce rate is an important metric which actually won't be there anymore in GA4. It measures how many people visit one page, so they end up on your website, and that's the only data point that's there for them. So they don't visit any further pages or scroll or do anything else. And so you want this to be as low as possible, whereas you want the pages per session to be as high as possible. Also, you want the average session duration to be as long as possible. And then finally, you have here the conversion rate. What you can see here is that actually organic search really brings in the bulk of traffic for this, and not just the bulk of traffic, but it has a okay bounce rate, and the conversion rate is also very high. And yeah, there's actually something wrong with the direct and the referral traffic here. Technical issue which I won't go into, and that kind of shows in a way the bounce rate looks very good. So the engagement statistics for these two channels look very good. But if we look at the conversions, then the conversion rate, so the percentage of people who actually convert, is much lower. And so you wouldn't know that if you only focus on engagement or if you do not keep track of conversions. So why is it important to have data on conversion data? Like this is one way of looking at it in a schematic way. So you have traffic coming to your campaign, which goes to your website, and on your website, hopefully it will take actions that you hope they will take. So signing up for things or contacting you. And when they do, you can track that, and you can analyze and compare perhaps, for example, a particular ad copy or a particular creative is going to bring you a lot of traffic, but it's not actually converting that well. Maybe it brought people who are not the right people, or you set the wrong expectations. You promised too much, which meant that a lot of people clicked the ad, but it didn't actually convert. So you need this data as a reality check, and just for yourself to compare, let's say, how's my study.eu traffic converting as compared to my organic traffic. But you also need it if you run, for example, a Google Analytics, Google Ads campaign, because the data in your Google Analytics account can be brought back into Google Ads. You can personally see it together with the clicks and the click-through rate and all the other data, but Google Ads itself will also use this conversion data as to learn what people respond well to, and so they will show the ads that convert well more often. They will bid more for people that, based on experience, are more likely to convert, etc. So there's happening a lot in the background that cannot be done unless you provide proper feedback. So let's see, do we have any questions? I see here someone who's curious about Google Analytics for Firebase. Google Analytics for Firebase is actually GA4. Like it started as Google Analytics for Firebase because Google Analytics cannot track apps. So Firebase was built to track apps. And with GA4, Google is extending that same platform to, is using the same platform to actually track websites. Typical mistake that leads to lower than expected conversion with Google Ads is also to allow related keywords. And then Google chooses keywords. Yes, exactly. That is a very big gripe of me personally as well. Let me stop sharing for a moment. And honestly, you might see a lot of clicks if you do this. So if you allow Google a lot of leeway for their targeting, but only when you track conversions would you realize that these are not the same kind of high quality audiences. You give Google one finger, they will take the whole hand.